Hello everybody, it's the Last Raider. We are back with another video. And I'm trying to figure out today, folks, maybe someone in the comments can help me out here. Why the hell are leftists so afraid of boobs? I mean, it's like tits and ass, man. They cannot handle seeing a woman with a round butt and a good set of tits. It's like, dadgummit, it's a woman. She's female. She's gonna have udders, and it's obvious women have evolved in such a way that they can get guys, to notice them without them having to directly look at the guy. Right? But what I've never understood this because, the thing about tits, unlike, your fist, your knees, your feet, or even your head to some extent, it really can't hurt you. As far as I know. Every time I've been hit by a tit, it feels like, I don't know, probably what the rear end of a unicorn feels like or something when you lay your head against it. But I digress. So Top Hat Studios this week, if for those of you who don't know, started out a game called Cyberpunk, I think it's Ghost Sense. I could be wrong about that. But they basically put out the game, and if you've seen the cover art for the game, it's two pretty well endowed, I'm gonna say cow-looking chicks because it's the tits are so large it's almost a joke at this point. It's got, what is that movie? Bedazzled, I think it is, with Brendan Fraser when he's talking about getting a bigger dick, and he's talking to the devil and he says, "I want to be, like," and he closes his fist, goes, "not jokingly huge, just, like." Maximum capacity without looking like an idiot. This is if Satan didn't listen to that and just made it jokingly huge, but in a feminine sense. Which I don't have a problem with. I mean, if you're going to make a character, do the character the way you want to do it. If it sells, it sells. If it don't, it don't. I'm willing to sit there and allow the market to make a decision. I will say this, though. Tits and ass do tend to sell better than no tits and ass. So, just to be frank about that. But what gets interesting here is what's happened to Top Hat Studios. Because lefties, here's the thing. Lefties don't like to compete. They don't like to create. So what do? They harass, denigrate, and ultimately attempt to destroy. They run a market based on fear. Okay? I've said this before when I talked about, how SJWs and the left in general, one of the ways that they get rid of competition in a debate is they act almost like a Harry Potter character. They get tired of dealing with your crap. They start using their magic words. Oh, you're a homophobe. Oh, you're an ist. They give themselves a buff by calling themselves an ally. They debuff you by calling you a Nazi and a racist. Yeah. So, again, instead of going out there, and making the game that they claim that everybody wants, they turn around and try to destroy the people who are actually making games that people want, that people will actually pay money for. And this is one of those things and it's not a concept that's lost on them. As you're about to see here with Top Hat Studios, the fact that this stuff sells is not lost on SJWs. The reason they do this stuff is because, one, they cannot compete. All right, I've said this hundreds of times. SJWs, when it comes to comics, when it comes to movies, they cannot compete. And the worst part is they know they can't compete. When they're sitting there trying to do, gender-neutral Terminator, when reality, I think the X-Terminator or the Terminatrix was much better received because, hey, you know what? She actually knew how to do things. Oh, hey, we got the female Terminator that comes back in time. It's got all these other problems. Or do I want to take a risk with the Terminator who will do a boob job? I hate to say it, but I think John Connor's going to die. In both instances, I think John Connor's going to die. All right. Anyway, that sexual jokes aside, you have this situation with SJWs where they know their stuff sells like shit. They know they can't get their stuff to sell, so they have to do what? They have to insult the customer and try to shame them into buying it, or as I mean, either or. They will also go out there and attack the producer of the product. So they'll call everybody a racist. They'll call you a racist for buying the stuff and not buying their crap. And at the same time, they'll turn around and call the company a phobe for whatever, I don't know, shuffle the deck, pick a card, whatever nonsense they want to pick out for that day. But I mean, here we go. Top Hat Studios incorporated it. We had apparently a bunch of people kept telling them that they were making up stuff about death threats. So Top Hat Studios finally just basically put the receipts out there showing exactly how these idiots operate. And I guarantee this is not something I'd have set this out here with all their accounts and their names, because if there is somebody in the gaming industry that is doing this, I want them to be found out. I want people to know that they are trying to forcibly shame people into buying their product so that they can turn around and be boycotted out of the system. Okay? I don't mind a free market as long as you're being nice to everybody else and you're accepting your losses. But when you go in there, and even myself, if I were to go in there and start shutting someone down and saying, "Oh, this is a racist, that's a phobe, this is all," I'd expect for everyone to boycott me and shut my ass down too. Because I'm sick and tired of this bullcrap, and I guarantee the rest of y'all are too. So anyway, Top Hat Studios Incorporated. We originally did not want to make this post as to not accidentally incite search for these posters and cause further fights. One, I can promise you right now, well over 2/3 of these are bot accounts. So it's really about 1/3 of the actual force that's out there. That's the thing you got to know about SJWs. When they come after you, you got to know that it's usually, if there's 30 people coming after you, it's usually around 10. Because every one of them will have at least 3 bot accounts. Some of them have even more than that. I've gotten into conversations with people where I've set arguments with SJWs over like gun rights and stuff. And after a while, it becomes apparent that these idiots don't know what they're talking about. And then a little bit more further in, you realize this is the same person. And you start calling them out. They immediately jump off because the facade has been lifted. They don't really have all the strength that they claim they did. It's kind of like, what is the anime? Desert Punk? Where one of Desert Punk's big moves is he uses the balloon dummies. There's a sniper scene where the sniper is shooting at balloon dummies the whole time that look like Desert Punk. And finally, one of the balloon dummies gets kind of close and he goes, "Oh, it's just another dummy." And Desert Punk kind of just knocks him out. Like, nope, that was a real one, dude. That's exactly what this is. You can sit there and keep sniping at him, or you just need to find out where the real one's at. Once you find the real SJW mall ninja out there, then the rest of the shadow clones kind of like disappear afterward. Anyway, continuing on. However, as there are now industry adjacent people slandering / gaslighting us as liars, we've compiled a sampling from Twitter, Facebook, and email, 1 of 5. Skepticism is healthy in this industry, but it is not universally applied. Not only are many of these comments actively findable in a 10 seconds to verify, but many curious individuals seem to have a vetted interest in slandering us as liars because of their connections. Now you sit here and you look at some of these, man. Women are being denied in the industry. Men pretending to be women are invading safe spaces for female developers. And now you got to bring out a game like Sense to make things even harder for women. Like, can you not do this? How? How does this make this harder on women? It's like I've said before. SJWs are so bad at marketing that they completely ruin the concept. They can't sell anything. I mean, take lesbians, for instance. Having a lesbian character in a video game should automatically sell it instantaneously. And I'm a Christian, and I would say this. Because the concept of two hot chicks making out is very appealing in a market that is primarily male-dominated. Okay? Think about that for a moment. There's nothing wrong with the human body, all right? But I mean, you're sitting here. What is it they do? Oh, it's a chick with a mental illness haircut. The other one's got purple hair. One's got blue hair. And oh, by the way, one of them looks like Butch. They both are heavily overweight with a lisp or some nonsense. And it's like, see, this is sexy. You should buy this. No, it's not. It's disgusting and unhealthy. You want to know how to do lesbians properly? I tell people a lot of times, watch Xeno Warrior Princess. That was lesbianism done, pro-lesbian crap done right. Okay? If you're wanting to promote that. You had Lucy Lawless, who was like a tomboyish hot chick. She's built. She's kind of like Gina Carano a little bit. And then you have the other chick, Gabrielle, who was, she's kind of hot for a hot blonde. And, they had some makeout sessions. Kind of got less effective when when Gabrielle cut her hair short. But, I mean, hey, you know what? We all make some kind of sacrifice. But, I mean, people enjoyed it. Guys would watch it. It was a show geared towards dudes. And guys like to watch it. A lot of women like to watch it, too, because of the representation that was in there. But you have these idiots out here. Oh my God, my representation. It's always back to the same stunted arguments. It's the representations. It's you're literally killing people. You're literally committing genocide. Jewicide. I wonder what Jewicide would be. It must be when Jews actually win wars. That must be what that is. Anywho, there's a new one. How many fucking real, actually women do you have on your team? Any, even one? Trannies don't fucking count. Oh, really? Sounds like a transphobe here. You have no idea how much I want you to hurt right now. Jeez, man. I have a comment down here reported. This is porn. Just some sad fantasy from ableist boy thoughts. Well, honestly here, if you don't like it, don't buy it. That'd be my opinion. But I mean, let's be frank. It's not the fact that it's not that these people won't go buy it. It's that they know that people will buy it and this will be successful. And they can't stand for you to have success. They don't want you to succeed in anything. SJWs, it's like Richard Myers says, SJWs want you to die slowly and painfully. And they want it to take about 3 weeks to a month. Basically, they want to starve you to death. They'll still give you water just to prolong the agony. I mean, as long as you're not getting food, they're fine with you having water. Because it's just, that's just going to prolong the agony. We can sit back, and that's where they get their entertainment. So they want this to take as long as possible. That's why they don't want you to be successful. That's why they don't want you to do things. Let's keep going. What misogynist hell is this? These hypersexualized images are not appropriate and can lead to different forms of sexual violence. Please sort this out. How? How is sexualizing of women do violence? If nothing else, I figured it would. Here's the thing. When I read comic books, with like Jean Grey, Mary Jane, and Psylocke. I loved Psylocke when I was a kid. Oh, dear God, I had a crush on her like crazy. I always had a crush on the Asian chicks. But, I mean, the mentality was, damn, I like a chick like Psylocke. She had her own problems. And it was like, you know what? The guys that got together with her in the comic books, she's super hot. She was attractive. She was something you want. She was a chick you wanted to have. But in there, you watch the guys that she was around. The dudes that got to spend time with her were the ones, that helped her with her problems. They were a shoulder to lean on a lot of times. I was like, got to figure out how those guys do it. Get close to a chick like this. And I'd like to figure out how to get close to a chick like this. Maybe get a chick like this to, marry up, whatnot. I ended up with a hot Filipino wife. So anyway, my internalized misogyny showing right there to no extent. What age is the designer fucking 5 years old? Nintendo, get a fucking grip. Holy crap. There is no fucking need for this shit. Porn-soaked feckers. One, sounds like you're a 5-year-old that is afraid to use the F word. And two, who cares? It's style. I mean, this was the thing. Back in the 90s, man, it was like, people should just, accept people for who they are. And there were some people who didn't, but we just kind of looked at them like they were idiots. Nowadays, you got people that are intolerant, and everyone's like, oh, look at them, so brave, so bold, for going up there and punching a person in the mouth for no reason other than you cannot handle your own emotional state. It's like those people that freak out about masks. And here's the thing. I don't have a problem with people wearing masks. I do believe in the science, it's going to protect you. But you're kind of nullifying the purpose when you have to also be 6 feet and wearing a mask. And when you get mad about the mask, you get it right up in someone's face. At that point, I don't think you really care. You're just there to piss. You're just there to, throw your little tantrum and throw your little hissy fit. And ultimately, it's going to end when people start getting mad and punching those idiots in the mouth. Because then these idiots will actually have a real-world consequence for their stupid antics. Anywho, going on. Gosh, what porny, misogynistic trash. Here's the thing. People call this misogynistic, but what about the lesbians who like big tits? Do they not deserve to be represented? I know they're out there. There's lots of lesbians that are just like, you know how I want to die? I want to die suffocating between some chick's giant tits. I mean, you know there are lesbians out there that are thinking about this, that honestly lust after big-titted women. Yet we can't have a big-titted chick in there. That these poor lesbian women, man, they're never going to get that sexual gratification that they are wanting. They're going to probably claim they got internalized misogyny and then mouth off. The art's over-sexualized. It's degrading to women. Typical Japanese anime-looking sexualized trash. Nah, Japanese anime art is really good. That's the problem. It's a higher quality of art. And it's way better than the trash that we get nowadays. Trust me. Cannot believe Nintendo is allowing porn on their consoles. We'll be contacting them as soon as possible. You should be ashamed. One, let's talk about The Last of Us Part 2 and their tranny sex scene. I'm betting that was okay. But, a chick who's covered up with a large set of knockers, that's apparently porn. Methinks thou hast not ever been on the porn site before. Methinks thou is the sheltered child in life. Disgusting. Hope you get shot, effing incels. Well, there comes the death threats in. Do you have any idea the harm you're causing to women? Because women have tits, apparently. And you're trying to hide that fact. Oh my God. The chickses may find out that they don't have dicks and they have tits. My God. The horror. I mean, what will these poor women do when they realize they have chesticles? Dear Lord. Damn. Disgusting, you would market porn to children. Insane. We'll be contacting Nintendo. Now, I did check I checked this. This is actually this actually has an M for mature rating. And I defer back to the argument that was used by, I believe, by Rockstar when parents started trying to sue them over San Andreas. He said, my kids saw this and everything else, and Rockstar's lawyer was like, he lifted up a package. He said, do you see this on the back of the cover? They're like, yeah. He said, do you know what this is? No. They said, this is an EBR rating. And that's when, back in the 90s, you started seeing these posters pop up inside of Walmarts and inside of GameStops which were telling parents what the EBR rating was, because Rockstar pretty much just goes, yeah, it's not our fault your kid ended up buying our game, that you ended up buying our game for your kid, and then your kid ended up seeing something they were not mature enough to do. We put a freaking warning on the back of the box, just like we do on movies. You wouldn't buy your kid an R-rated movie, would you? And the woman goes, no. He goes, well, why the heck did you buy an immature game for your 7-year-old? It's not marketed to children. If you're being a responsible freaking adult, your kid will not be getting the stuff. Okay? This is the amazing thing to me about some parents also. Because you're the reason we have these SJWs out there, if you're one of these parents. Where you're like, I'll just give my kid whatever they want. It'll be fine. Well, here, let me tell you something. If you're the parent, you have the power to stop this nonsense from happening. You have the power to stop your kid from seeing stuff before they are old enough to handle it. Okay? Now, I'm not saying kids should never be exposed to the concept of homosexuality. Honestly, there's a lot of people that are Christians who are like, you should never tell your kids about it, ever. I'm like, no, you really should, because either you're going to give the explanation or someone else is going to give the explanation, and you may not like what the other person's explanation is. Same thing I tell people about guns. You need to teach your kids. There's a lot of gun owners out there I know of who are like, I'm just not going to talk to my kid about guns because I'm afraid my kid's going to get my gun and be enamored by it. Look, either your kid is going to learn about guns and learn that they're safe and they're tools from you, or they're going to learn that there's some sort of demonic possession of the devil, and if they touch one, they're going to turn into a demon. Therefore, they will not protect themselves when it's necessary. Okay? Same thing with just about anything. Either you're going to be the one to talk to them about it, or someone else will. Sort of like how my uncle told his wife one time, or my aunt. She's like, I don't feel comfortable talking to my kids about sex, and he goes, either you're going to talk to your daughter about sex, or her next boyfriend's going to talk to her about sex, and he's going to bring visual aids. See, you better have the conversation now before the boyfriend does, because he's going one direction with it. Just saying. If you have a problem with something, and you're afraid your kid's going to get involved with it, my suggestion is talk to your kid. Half the time, kids are like, they can handle things a little bit better. And if your mom and dad, here's the thing. If you do that, if you're not that parent that constantly hides something from your kids, usually later on down the road, your kids will come to you with their problems. And you won't be finding out about crap later on in life. Okay? Communication is one of the biggest things of parenting. If you can get learning to get your point across to a child and get it across to them in a way where they can, they feel satisfied with that, that's a good trait to have. Now, yeah, sometimes you've got to go in there and you've got to discipline a child. You've got to ground them from the video games. But, hey, sometimes it has to be done. They've got to learn self-control at some point. Better a grounding now than a jail time later. Anyway, continuing on. I've chased that rabbit long enough. Would be ashamed if something was sent to blank, huh? Stupid garbage incel BS you're peddling. Hope you get the rope. This guy was trying to sound black. I guarantee he's some rich white kid sitting at home in daddy's mansion. No, actually probably mom's mansion because she's a gold digger and ended up suing his real dad. He's sitting in there with the black guy in the other room. He's trying to sound gangster at the moment. You go get the rope. That ain't gangster. It's bust a cap in your ass. Learn. It's 90s lingo, man. It's bust a cap in your ass. Just God, rich dumb kids. But you see here the reaction to this. Now, let me see if I can find this here. I believe there was a picture of, yeah, here we go, of what this game looked like. This is what pissed everybody off right here. The first chick over here, the pink-haired chick, she's actually not that bad. I'm guessing it's the chick on the left that kind of ticks people. Whew, boy. I guess you can just go moo here at this point. But, honestly, I don't know why this offends them other than the only explanation I can come up with is they know that their crap is not going to sell as good as this. This is going to sell. You've got more and more producers out there, more and more creators out there who just aren't giving a damn. Who are like, we liked it in the classic days, when women look like women and men look like men. When everybody wanted to be Logan because he was the rough looking dude. He was just the guy. I mean, he was cool as F when you was out there, when you was a kid. I mean, everybody had Wolverine. Um, take, I mean, you take Scott Summers and everything. Not very many people wanted to be Cyclops, but I mean, about everybody wanted to be Wolverine. Man, Wolverine had the claws. He was just a badass looking dude, and everybody liked that about him as a character. Now, I mean, when it comes down to all the other chicks in there, on the flip side, a lot of guys, their big crush in the X-Men was Storm. I actually liked Storm as well. She's good looking. Every time Storm was anytime you had Storm on the panels, it was a good day. Okay? Anytime you had Psylocke in her thong leotard, it was a good day. Okay? You got the comic books, you're like, yeah, this is a great story. Oh, that ass looks good. I mean, yeah, here's the thing. It wasn't always just comic kids. I remember there were people back when we still had Klan, back when the Klan, the KKK. Because we had one town that was predominantly white all the way up into the 90s, and they still had a fairly heavy Klan presence. The Klan is gone now completely. They officially disbanded on the grounds of nobody respects us anymore, and we're looked at as a joke. They pretty much just disbanded over that. And also, they didn't have the membership to keep going. But I remember being in a grocery store, knowing this one kid's dad was part of the Klan, and buying and holding comic books for him to read, because he said, if Dad finds out that I've got a book with a black chick in here that looks good, I'm going to get in trouble. His favorite character was Bishop. Because he's like, Bishop's a badass. He's got the big gun and everything. He wanted to be Bishop's sidekick. So some little red-headed ginger kid wanted to be Bishop's sidekick from X-Men. Because he said, Bishop goes back in time. Bishop is a, big, burly, swole-looking dude. And his dad wouldn't allow him to have comic books because there was a lot of black people in comic books. He and his dad refused to let him read good stories about black people. So I held on to a bunch of comics for him. He'd buy them, I'd hang on to them. It's where I got a lot of my comics from. Ended up losing them a lot. He went off and made his own comic book stuff and left. I think he married a black chick afterward. I'm not sure. I mean, hey, the more you fight it, the worse it's going to get. The further the kid's going to go. So, but I mean, comics have always been pretty well diverse. And the thing I would tell people is comics uses, perfect looking women to draw people in and address issues. I promise you could address the police issue in this country if you had a really hot female criminal character. Or a really hot chick who's being wrongfully accused. What is it? One guy, I can't remember who the guy was that was saying, he was talking about Mission Impossible, and he said, you want to have a really good scene? Have the character make some hard decisions. It also helps that the chick that he's trying to save in these hard decisions, that he makes the hard decision for, is a very hot looking doe-eyed chick. You could get what is it? The guy, there was one dude. He was like, you want to get women don't understand how to get men into conversations and talk about hard subjects. He said, ladies, you want to get men to talk about hard subjects? Walk into the room with your guy while he's sitting there and say, "Hun, we need to talk about bills," and lift your shirt up. He's going to take, and he goes, the man is going to take one look and be like, "Yeah, I don't." Okay, sure, babe, let's talk about bills. We can talk about bills all day long. Okay? The sex is a hook so you can get people in. If you want to talk about serious subjects, and you don't have to talk about them heavily. I'm saying, lightly touch on the subjects because you're not going to have change happen overnight. But I mean, as far as this company here, as far as Top Hat goes, continue to give them the bird. As far as I'm concerned on this, I would prefer that to happen than sit back and find out that, oh, you know what, we're going to reduce boob size like they did Tifa in Final Fantasy VII. That was the biggest downgrade in human history. Anyway, folks, I am the Last Raider. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for listening to my ramblings because I stayed up late last night and I am dog tired. Gonna try and get some sleep so you guys have a much more coherent person. Anyway, stay safe, stay frosty, folks. See you guys in the next video. Bye-bye now.